Today I'll talk about everything you need to know about training for Finke. Hey guys, I'm Andrew Hammer. Welcome to MotoFit TV, up to episode number 7. We're going to do something a little bit different today. So before we've been running a little bit of question answer format, but I've had a lot of people sending me messages or posting up questions as well regarding the Finke. So obviously there's a heap of you that are getting ready for the Finke in June. So I thought I'd dedicate this episode purely to being able to help you map out your training and giving you a little bit of information on what you need to be doing over the coming months leading up until June, because now is really the time that you need to be able to get started. We've got about, what are we in now, February, so we've got March, April, May, and then we're going to be racing in June. So we've got about a little over 12 weeks to be able to get prepared. So we need to be able to make sure that we're maximising that time, and now is that time to be able to get started. If we're leaving it a few weeks out from Finke, then you're going to be in trouble. So I'm going to map everything out for you. So make sure you got pen and paper so you can take notes and write these things down, because I want to make sure you've actually got actionable stuff that you can start to do, not just take it all in and then go away and then go, that's a good idea, and then not actually use it. So we need to make sure, first of all, that we have a few different components with our training. What we need to make sure is, first of all, that we're working on mobility and flexibility. So the first component of our training needs to be made up of mobility and flexibility. So what this means is we're working on being able to get the body to move through its full range of motion. Okay, so if you need a few ideas, you can go to my YouTube channel, which Jeremy will link up for you here. And you'll be able to click on that, and if you scroll down to the older videos, there's a whole heap of mobility and movement exercises that you can actually crack on with. Now, the reason that you want to actually work on mobility is because this will help with your flexibility and quality of movement. When we're tight, we're restricted, our joints aren't going through their full range of motion or correct range of motion, then what starts to happen is they don't perform as efficiently, they're not as strong, they're not able to move as well as what they'd like, so they're not as efficient. Which means number one, you're not as powerful, not as strong, can't demonstrate your explosiveness on the bike, but then more importantly as well, puts you at high risk of injury as well. So first component we want to have is mobility. So you want to do like a 5-minute warm up, doing something light and easy, just constant movement, then go into your mobility once you've warmed up. And it's, for most of you, it's probably at the moment it's pretty warm anyway, so your warm up won't have to be too long compared to when we're warming up in winter time. So smash through that. The next component we want to go through is strength. So we want to have an emphasis, as a racer of Finke, you want to make sure that you're as strong as you can possibly get. The next 12 plus weeks should be dedicated purely to getting a shit ton stronger than you are now. So have a look at how much your bike weighs. Okay, so a normal, say 450 motocross bike's around 100 kilos. So if you're racing in Finke and you've got a big tank and you've got all the gear on it, you're looking at 110, 20, 30 plus out there, plus your body weight. So if you've got Finke, which is going to take you 2, 3, 4 hours to be able to get there, and then coming back obviously as well, then you need to be able to have levels of strength that allow you to throw around a 100 kilo bike, plus you as a racer at 80 kilos, or however much you weigh. If you're an 80 kilo rider, that's 180 kilos that you need to be able to throw around for 2, 3, 4 hours. So strength is the thing you need to build. You don't need to be spending hours on a cycling bike or running or swimming and doing long distance cardio, because it's not going to help. Okay, it will help compared to doing nothing, but it's going to be nowhere near as efficient of what we actually need to be doing to help you with Finke. We need to get you as strong as you possibly can. When we get you to high levels of strength, that's going to mean throwing that 180, 190, 200 kilos around for 3 to 4 hours is going to become much easier. Your endurance is going to improve. When you get stronger and it becomes easier to throw the bike around, you can then do that for longer periods of time, which means that's going to be able to help with your endurance. So move away from thinking of yourself as an endurance athlete and think as a strength athlete. You need to be able to develop strength. Now, when we're developing this strength, it needs to be developed by using what we call multi-joint movements. These are things such as deadlifts, overhead presses, bent over rows, back squats, all with a barbell and weights. Because these are the movements which demonstrate how the body moves very similarly to how it moves on the bike. So when we can use these movements and develop strength with them, then that's going to transfer directly over to the bike. You don't want to be using machines and isolation work, because the body doesn't work like that. Okay, the body doesn't work like that on the bike where we're using your arms or just your traps or your shoulders or your back, okay, or your chest or your core. It all works together as one big system. So you want to make sure you train it like that. Component number 3, the conditioning and cardio. You want to make sure you're using interval training, which is short, sharp bursts of high intensity activity. When you're out on the track, when you're out at Finke, motocross track, wherever you are, the intensity is not consistent. You have parts of the track that are more physically demanding than other parts of the track. If you're going over whoops, okay, you'll have some whoopy areas which require a heap of effort, okay, a heap of strength, other parts which don't require as much. You might have bits that require a heap of effort, bits that don't require as much effort, aren't as intense. There's fluctuations in intensity. So the only way to be able to train that is through interval training. Most people go and cycle, they go and swim for ages, they go for long runs, and they train at a constant intensity, but then hope that that transfers over to Finke, which is actually a fluctuating level of intensity. So you need to be able to make sure you're using interval training. So we're using short, sharp bursts of high intensity activity. So an example workout, let me give you an example on an exercise bike. What you would do is 10 minutes, 20 seconds flat out as fast as you can go, 40 seconds of complete rest. Repeat that about 10 times. Now that will give you a good starting or a good base to be able to start with, to be able to build up, because the interval training, number 1, is going to reflect the intensity of race day. Number 2, interval training helps build strength. Interval training helps build strength. So longer distance cardio, longer distance conditioning causes what we call muscular atrophy. If you have a look at the size of a cyclist, or you have a look at the size of a long distance runner, they're not big people, they're not strong, they're very, very good at endurance. The difference between you and them is that you have the 100, 110, 120, 130 kilo bike, they don't. So you need the strength. The strength is the most important thing. So you need to be able to make sure that you've got that strength, and the interval training is going to help to support that. The longer distance cardio is actually going to pull away from your strength. They're going to fight against each other, okay? Longer distance cardio has been shown to cause what we call muscular atrophy. What that means is muscle mass declines, and so does the level of strength. So when you're doing this and you try and combine that with strength training, you're getting nowhere near as effective results. You're driving your car with the handbrake on because all your exercises are fighting against each other. So they're the first 3 components that we need to be able to work on there, is making sure you have a mobility component, making sure you have a strength component, and making sure you have a conditioning component, making sure that they're all gelling there together. So there's a couple of things that I've given you a few things that you can get started with in action. We have a few spots left in our motorsport development program. So if you want one of those spots, we're kicking off in very, very soon. So hurry up and send me a message so we can get started, because if you're leaving your training over the next few weeks, over the next month, then I'm not going to be able to help you, because we don't have enough time to be able to develop strength. Strength takes a while to develop. So make sure that you, if you want help, if you want to implement this stuff and you want that path mapped out for you, hurry up and send me a PM so we can get you started and we can get things rolling. And if I can't help you, then at least I can refer you to stuff. So get cracking with that. Send me a message if you can, and then we're able to get started. For all the rest of you guys, hope you found this helpful, and we'll see you guys next week. See ya.